please put your hands together and help me welcome Fee Warren-Smith. Good luck, Fee.
Hi, Fee from Reading. Thank you. This year has probably been one of the best years of my life. I never thought I'd find myself saying that. When I came and joined Mastermind, people told me it was a life-changing experience, that you made loads of friends, but I really had no concept of what that meant until today. It has been the most incredible roller coaster. I remember Fraser's many slides about this, the number of times Fraser's caught me on the way down, so thank you for that. But you just don't give up, and I think that's what my story is really about. I couldn't have done it without this incredible room of people. Every day there's people on WhatsApp. Sorry, that's the dinner last year. And when I haven't known something someone else has, whenever you're down, there's someone to pick you up. And this incredible room of people. And I just wanted to mention very quickly a few people. My 645 group, which is a little group of people who've been supporting each other, particularly Mark and Sarah. Sarah's coached me on a few things, thank you. Joe, Simon Platt. I wouldn't be standing here apart from Simon this time. I wasn't going to apply, so thank you very much for that. And Eunice and everybody else in that group. Who am I? I moved to London when I was 17 years old. I left school at 16. And I bought my first flat at 20. It was a tiny little flat in London, in West Kensington. I paid £30,000 for it. And I sold it for £53,000 2 years later. And that was when I kind of understood that property was good. I then travelled a bit and I joined marketing for professional services, ending up on the board of Taylor Wessing, which is a city law firm. And I'm mentioning this because that's really what gave me a lot of the skill sets that I'm really deploying now. It helped me to learn how to manage teams, projects, and also the power of the power team. Working with professionals, I worked in accountancy as well, so I was quite accustomed to that world. I moved out to the country to raise my children, and I got bored, so I became a magistrate and set up a few businesses. But I got divorced in 2011. And the reason I also mention that is because that's actually how I started my property journey. It was my reason why. I wasn't in my flow. The businesses I had were not for me at all. And I'd always been interested in property, and I started attending a few sessions, and I discovered about the idea of releasing equity from your own home. It took me 2 years to have the courage to do it, and I started my portfolio in 2013. I bought my first HMO in December, and I had it up and running by the January of 2014. And that year, I had a great year. I set up 22 rooms and 1 buy-to-let. I thought I was really good at this. 2015 started, and it stopped. I couldn't get the returns anymore. I was doing this in Reading. I thought Reading was great. I thought I knew I was really good at this, and I could no longer do it. And I started looking about to discover what to do, and I came to one of Simon's sessions, and he put me onto the idea of Mastermind Accelerator, which I joined in about March last year, and was completely overwhelmed about all these different strategies. I basically joined Mastermind in, a year ago, and I spent the first 8 months being a busy fool. I listened to everything I was told to do. I went off and did it. I was really busy. I took loads of action, as we're always told to. I kept on changing strategies. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I decided I didn't want HMOs, but I was determined to stay in Reading. I knew Reading was where it was at because of the Crossrail was coming and the growth in the market. And all along, I kept on losing deals, but the amazing thing for me was that each time I lost a deal, I learnt so much, and I was very fortunate that I took the view that I've learnt something. So each time something went wrong, I took something from it, and I built something new into my program, and I had a fantastic power team I've accumulated along the way. I took on someone called Laura Hyde, who's been my right-hand man and my secret weapon, really, so she sources properties for me. I've got a great solicitor, I've got a great accountant, I've got a great planning consultant, etc. But I kissed an awful lot of frogs before I got there. There were loads of bad ones along the way, and that's been really one of my greatest strengths, I think, last year, was building this power team. I've got systems and spreadsheets. I can now appraise projects very quickly, but again, I went into too much analysis paralysis for a long time. And I eventually got to grips with planning and all these other things, and I worked out my strategy, what was. And in December last year, I had my eureka moment. Mark Deering's been mentioned once today already. Thanks, Maggie. Well, he came down and we had our mentoring session. And I revised my goals and targets. I thought I wanted £20,000 a month, but I realized that wasn't what I wanted at all. What I actually wanted was to build my capital growth. And so I completely changed my thought process. And once my goals and targets were aligned, I found it an awful lot easier to start putting in place what I wanted to do. I also realized that maybe I need to relook at Reading. There was a concern about my numbers. I think there was a concern that I was getting them wrong. But Mark and I looked at the numbers and we decided I wasn't getting them wrong. And the one thing I had done right, or one of the things I'd done right, was not to invest in Reading, because for me, it wasn't giving me the returns that I wanted. It's a fantastic investment place for lots of people, but it didn't meet my personal goals and aspirations. So I basically started rethinking about that. Also for my mentoring, we just tightened the systems because we'd probably been too many shiny pennies before. We were looking at far too many properties without actually appraising them properly first. So we now have a system in the office that Laura and I basically have. Mondays is desktop appraisal and book the viewing day. Tuesday is go and view it, and Wednesday's offer, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But basically, we have a rolling program now. And just to show you the difference, so beforehand, now I've got out of my own way, April to December, we did 41 viewings, we had 13 offers, and 1 property. In truth, it was a lot more viewings than that, but my records wasn't very good in those days. So they got better. Now this year, we hit the ground running in January, and despite the fact that Laura sadly had a bereavement and was out of action for 3 to 4 weeks, this is what we've done since January. And I've done 26 viewings, 13 offers, which equaled 5 properties. I know there are people here that probably feel they're a bit stuck. If I can do it, you can too. Honestly, my mindset shifted, coming back to what Billy was saying. It does make a huge difference. So my strategy now is basically capital growth, predominantly. I want to recycle my money. I don't really want to leave money in the deals, so unless I feel it's worthwhile. But I'm doing freehold to leasehold splits. I'm doing flips, and I'm doing office to resi conversions are my primary strategy. But I do need a little bit of cash flow extra, so doing one HMO a year. Piotr and Joanna actually gave me this year's this one. We had a nice little joint venture. I lent them some money in return for them finding me a deal, so thank you very much for that one, guys. Here's just a couple of examples of deals. This one was before I had my eureka moment. It's very close to the Crossrail entrance. The profit I was going to make out of it was negligible, but I was happy for it for capital growth. I bought it for 300,000. I've actually spent about 18 on acquisition and getting planning in place. But I was going to build it out and develop it. Planning was actually due in yesterday. Needless to say, Reading have let us down and haven't met their target, but that's normal. But because I've now got better deals, I'm actually doing a back-on-back. I exchanged in December. We got vacant possession last Monday, so I went to an agent and said, do you know anyone that wants to buy this off me before I complete? And they did. So I've got this very nice gentleman who's offered me 377,500, rounded up 378. And we are exchanging on Monday, and he's going to complete on the same day as me. So I walk away with 60,000 out of that deal. I've actually only put 48 in, because I've put the deposit and the costs, which is a stonking 125% return on investment, which if you annualize it is 500%. So I thought I had to share that one with you, because I like that. But the main learning for that for me is actually that I'm not wasting my time in doing a massive development and tying up the money for 6 months for actually quite a limited return. And again, I got out my way and looked at the numbers rather than the emotion to the deal. So that's a big learning one, that for me. The next one I want to talk to you about is an office to resi conversion. I think I've talked about this before, but I had a massive learning. I must have lost 4 or 5 last year as I was getting here. But this one was off market. My architect tapped me on the shoulder, having and offered me this property. Now, one of my power team, I've never yet paid him any money. He's come out to every single site to appraise it with me. and we just got on really well. So he comes and we work out what we can get out of a unit. He knows that ultimately he'll be getting business from me. And actually, I've just bought his building, so he's probably quite happy. But it's a real learn that you don't have to always pay people. If they know that you're going to get business in the long run, they will keep coming back and helping you. Anyway, this one's very quickly. It's buying at 450. All costs in, it's about 218. The GDV is 820. Now, on the GDV, I got a red book valuation. When the bridging people, I think it was Shawbrook, went in to value it, I specifically requested that they value my end value as well. So I told them what scheme I was planning. My valuation had come in at 750 to 820. That was what I thought it was going to be the GDV. And I was really pleased to have it confirmed at 820. And if I sell it, it'll be a £150,000 profit. I might keep that one. I'll end up with about 40 grand in the deal, but because of where it is, the growth projections are great, so that might be a worthwhile for me. So how do we do overall? I managed to raise £720,000 in the last year. I should give credit to my ex-husband, who's my line of credit for some of that. He's been very decent, and he lets me dip into the school fees account from time to time with a nice return. But in addition to that, I do have a number of other investors who I'm giving 8%. Properties purchased at 1.4. The profit, if I sell that development, would be 274. Cash flow not huge at 19, but that was not my primary objective. And I'll have an equity of 126. So I think on paper, I've actually met my target this year in March. So I've now got to up my target in order to pay for the car I had to buy yesterday on the grounds that my other one committed suicide a week ago. My tips that we've been asked to share. I think one of the key things, and we're told this all the time, but I did not understand it until January, is to get your head around your goals and really get it and understand you need to be working your flow, and I am now. Trying to do other things didn't work for me, and now I understand my goals. I can actually work and measure my performance against them. It's made a huge difference. I know we will say this, but get out your own way. Get your mindset right. Listen to the advice that you're receiving. If you keep hearing the same thing over and over again, it might be true. Important one to know. I outsource everything I can. I'm hopeless at social media, so I've just taken on someone. In fact, she's from one of my other businesses. She's going to be doing the social media for me, because I know I should be posting things on Facebook, but I'm hopeless at it. So I'm going to get someone else to do it for me. I outsource my sourcing now, my project management, bookkeeping. In fact, I don't have to do much, do I? So get rid of it. Outsource it. Power team we've talked about a lot. Make sure you have a very strong power team. And I involve them in all of my initial deal conversations. I always have a telecom with all of my power team together, because we'll work out the strategy on that deal. And often it's not what I thought it was going to be. Treat each setback as a key learning. I touched on this earlier, but I did have probably 15 to 20 deals that fell out of bed along the last year. But each time I never felt I've got to stop. It was, I've really learned something from that. And if you can adopt that mindset, I think it does help you to get to where you want to be in the end. So essentially, please keep on keeping on. And enjoy the journey. Have fun on the way. You know I like to party. Make sure you don't lose sight of that, and make sure you have fun along the way. And my last thing I have to say is to Mr. Zucchi and Fraser and all of the PIN team, I wouldn't be here, and none of us would be without this incredible business and community you've set up. So thank you very much for all that you've done for us. Thank you very much.